Welcome back for another Victory at Sea unboxing. Today what we're going to unbox is the Merchant Convoy. This is a little bit different expansion. You might say that the ships in this are non-aligned, although when they're in your fleet they would be aligned to you. As you know, in World War II, whether it was the Germans trying to blockade Britain to keep goods from coming in, or the US blockading Japan near the end of the war to keep goods and raw materials getting to Japan, protecting and or destroying merchant convoys was a big part of the war. So that's what this set is going to let you do. It's going to let you set up some scenarios, and maybe one player is trying to protect the convoy from getting from one point to another point, where the other player is trying to destroy as much of the convoy as possible. That might be one scenario. So let's see the back of the box. So the original boxes for this actually had an error on them, but this one doesn't, so this must be a later version of the box. There are 7 ships in the box. The original version had an 8th ship over here. They had repeated the oil tanker over here. What you're going to get are 7 resin and metal model ships, 3 Liberty merchant ships, 3 Victory merchant ships, 1 SS Ohio tanker ship, and the ship cards and damage sliders as usual. So why don't we open this up and see what we get in the box. Okay, so I think as usual we will look at the models first. And this package is going to be our Victory merchant ships. And this one is packaged to us by either Matt or M+. Thank you, Matt. I'm going to go with Matt. Okay, so this does appear to be our preferred lighter gray resin, although there is a fair amount of flash. You can see right there along the bottom of the bases of the ships, but that will trim off easily. Maybe a couple other little bits of flash. On the front of this one, you can see right there. See if we can see one of our Victory ships. So there's a bit of flash there that'll come right off. But really very nicely detailed ships. And then we will go with the Victory. Oh, these are the Victories. Oh no, I'm sorry. So these were the Liberties. These are the Victories. I was reading at the top there. It says Victory at Sea. That's the name of the game. These are the Victories. These were the Liberties. Not that it makes a huge difference at this point, but as long as we get 3 of each, we're good to go. And this is by MJ. Thank you, MJ. And these are different ships. They do say Victory on them. Try and get a close-up of that. And a little bit of flash up here along the base. Nothing that's a big deal. And really nice small ships. So these are, looks like they are just a little bit larger than a destroyer. So there's one of my destroyers. So they're a little bit larger than a destroyer in terms of the physical model size. And then we have our last ship. This is going to be the oil tanker. Along with all of our little metal bits. There's actually quite a few. There's a lot of little metal bits in here. We won't take that out. That was packaged to us by Becky. Thank you, Becky. And we have our Ohio. So this, the base, so the ship itself looks like it's larger than these other ones, but the base is about the same. And there's our oil tanker. Very nice sculpt, lots of detail in there. As I've been painting, I've discovered there's even more detail than I had expected or thought that was there. Okay, so let's move all of this off to the side so that we can look at what you know is my favorite part, the cardboard, because it's about the game. The models are super cool, and that's what we're paying mostly for, but the cardboard lets us play the game. Alright, so we have our damage sliders as usual. We have our working with Warlord resin. We've talked about that before. First time, second time, read it. After that, probably recycling fodder. Then we have our assembly instructions. So it looks like we have lots of little tiny spindly little fiddly bits. That'll be fun. I'm kind of kidding, but so this one's nice. So this one, it's multiple ships, but we do have the painting guide for each of them. So that's nice. So one thing I am going to do in terms of painting this, I'm going to take at least one ship. It looks like the Victory might be a good one. I am going to basically do the most basic painting of a ship to make it table worthy as I possibly can. I will include that as a video on the channel at some point. I want to at least get my Japanese fleet done first though. I'm getting close. And then I'll have to decide if I'm going to do this or paint up my Americans next. But I want to just do a demonstration video of what the simplest possible way to paint up one of these ships is and how quick that goes. Okay, and then we have all of our cards. So we're going to have one oil tanker card. So it's a civilian type. It has a special rule here, volatile. If an oil tanker is hit by a torpedo or bomb, or if the ship suffers any kind of critical hit that results in fire, multiple fires, or any kind of explosion, roll a d6. On a roll of 6, the ship explodes and sinks immediately. So this is going to be one that you're going to want to protect and surround by ships. It does cost 30 points. Flank speed of 3, so it's slow. Armor of 1. For a civilian ship, that's pretty much what you'd expect. Hull of 14 and 4, and it is lumbering, which limits the amount that it's going to be able to turn. In the game, if your ship becomes critically wounded, it gains lumbering, and it cuts your flank speed in half. I'm going to say that this lumbering isn't going to cut our flank speed in half. It's already at 3, but it is going to. There are other rules that go with lumbering, and I believe one of them is limiting how much you can turn. So we do have some armament on this. We have some light guns. Again, if you're going to be shooting with this, it's going to be hopefully in just a defensive manner, because something is broken through the line, and you're just trying to throw anything and everything at it as you possibly can. These are slow loading and weak, so the slow loading, that's like with some of the torpedoes that are slow loading. That means if you're going to get a shot off with it, you won't be able to shoot with it the next turn, and then you can shoot with it the turn after that. But if you're still going after that, the slow loading will limit the number of times you can shoot with the ship to 2. And it's not a very powerful gun. This one is not dual purpose, so you won't be able to use this with your AA battery. So this is just to throw a dice every once in a while at a destroyer or something who's coming at you. It does have an AA battery of local 1. I think planes coming to get these is probably going to be something that you're going to have to worry about, so that's good. And then on the back, real life statistics, real life history. Oil was very important in order to keep the war machine going, so these types of ships were very important to get through and to protect in anywhere in the war, in any theater. It's going to be important. So we do have several refits here, but in this case we have refits for the US Navy and for the Japanese Navy and the Royal Navy. So I guess with some scenarios, there's going to be scenarios where the US will be running with this, or the Japanese might be running with an oil tanker, or the Royal Navy. And we'll just have to see what that is when we get to that part of the game. But with the US Navy, we do have something that increases its light guns and gives it the dual purpose trait, which would be good, I suppose, for anti-aircraft. Although, like I said, if they're sending everything at one of these ships, it's going to be tough to protect it. You're going to be counting on your other ships, not for it to defend itself. And then in 1944, increased its AA battery again to 2 dice. The Japanese Navy has different stats. It removes the light guns and increases the AA, so it has better AA but no light guns at all. And the Royal Navy has its set of stats as well. It changes the bands on the light guns, adds the dual purpose trait, and increases the AA battery range, and an additional attack dice for 1, and then increases a battery to local 2 for 5 points. So a little bit to work with there in terms of refits. That's going to be the oil tanker. Then we should have 3 Liberties, and these are 25 points, civilian, flank speed of 2, so extremely slow. Armor 1, hull of 10 and 3, also has lumbering. Has some light guns with some just average ranges. Dual purpose, slow loading, weak, so at least it's dual purpose out of the gate. And the AA battery does have some range, which is helpful, because if you're close enough to a ship that is getting dive bombed, you'd be able to take a shot at it as well, even if it's not coming after you. It's a little bit of extra utility out of your AA. And then on the back, it doesn't look like we have any refits, just some history and real life statistics. And these were built by the hundreds during the war. Then finally we have our victory ships. These ones are significantly more expensive, 75 points. Not exactly sure why, but there has to be a reason for this. Notice that it's both US and Royal Navy, same as the Liberty. Civilian, flank speed of 3, slightly faster, armor of 1, hull of 12 and 4, lumbering. The light guns, same ranges, dual purpose, slow loading, weak. A battery with some range and local 1. So very similar in terms of armament to the Liberty. So they're very similar here. A little bit faster on the Victory, significantly more points. So we'll have to figure out, why that is. Maybe these are worth more in a scenario to keep going. No, I don't really know. It's just guess at this point why you're spending 50 more points for a Victory over a Liberty. It could be just for the scenario to limit the number of points you have for your military ships. I don't know. And again, no refits, just statistics, real life statistics, and some history. And that's it. So a very different expansion here. Again, you get 7 ships, the ship cards, and the damage sliders. Those are always important. And it's non-aligned, and it's only this kind of specialty. It does cost $80 retail. You can possibly find that for less. My store was running a double points promotion, which is why I picked it up. And I thought it would be fun to potentially run some scenarios, whether it's a scenario that's in the rulebook or a scenario that I come up with myself, and just see how it works. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this interests you. What do you think about a non-aligned merchant convoy and using that in the game? Does that sound like something interesting to you? Is it something that you would play? Or are you in for just the points battles where you each have X number of points and you create your fleets and you go after each other? Or do these types of war scenarios interest you at all? Let us know down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.